At the top of Batman's villain iceberg sits the Joker, the clown, prince of crime. First appearing in Batman issue 1 in 1940, the Joker has shown up across nearly every era of DC media, constantly reinvented as either a prankster, a mass murderer, or something disturbingly in between. His backstory is deliberately fractured. Sometimes he's a failed stand-up comedian, driven to crime to support his pregnant wife. Sometimes a criminal who falls into chemicals at Ace Chemicals, bleaching his skin, turning his hair green, and snapping his sanity forever. Other versions suggest he may be centuries old, and the Joker himself admits he may not even know the truth. What stays consistent is that he survives the fall, emerges reborn, and embraces the idea that life itself is a cruel joke. Lacking superpowers, the Joker relies on a genius intellect, expert chemistry, deadly Joker venom, and a shocking resistance to pain, often laughing through injuries that would kill anyone else. When fighting Batman, Joker doesn't aim to win. He aims to break him, targeting allies and innocent lives to push Batman into killing him. Because to the Joker, the real joke is that Batman won't, and that's why their game never ends. One step down stands Bane, not just a monster of muscle, but one of the few enemies who truly understood Batman and broke him. First appearing in Batman, Vengeance of Bane 1 in 1993, Bane was designed as Batman's dark mirror, physically superior, intellectually brilliant, and forged by suffering. His backstory begins in Peña Duro, an hellish prison on the corrupt island of Santa Prisca, where Bane was born and raised behind bars to serve his father's life sentence. Growing up in captivity, he educated himself obsessively, trained his body to perfection, learned multiple languages, and survived brutal prison politics, committing his first murder as a child. Eventually, prison authorities forced him into experiments with the super steroid venom, a drug that nearly killed him, but instead transformed him into something more, at the cost of addiction and dependence. Haunted by recurring nightmares of a bat demon, Bane becomes obsessed with Gotham and Batman. Rather than confront Batman head-on, Bane drives Batman to physical and mental exhaustion, then confronts him in the Batcave and shatters his spine, earning the title, The Man Who Broke the Bat. Even without venom, Bane remains a peak human combatant and master tactician. Unlike most of Batman's foes, Bane doesn't seek chaos or attention. He seeks conquest, control, and proof that Batman is not invincible, making their rivalry one of intellect, willpower, and who can endure suffering the longest. One step further down the villain iceberg stands Scarecrow, Jonathan Crane. First appearing in World's Finest Comics 3 in 1941, Crane was a gifted but deeply traumatized child, born to an absent father and raised under the strict, fanatically religious eye of his grandmother. Ostracized for his lanky frame and bookish nature, young Jonathan discovered both cruelty and fascination in the terror of others, first frightening birds, and later taking the lives of those who tormented him. He grew into a brilliant but unhinged professor of psychology, obsessed with understanding fear, and eventually turned that obsession into a weapon, developing his infamous fear toxins, capable of turning his victims' deepest anxieties into vivid, paralyzing hallucinations. As the Scarecrow, he dresses in a ragged costume, evoking the nightmares of farm fields and harvests, a symbol of dread as much as identity, and uses chemistry, psychology, and carefully honed combat skills to prey upon Gotham's citizens, often manipulating them without firing a single shot. One step deeper into Gotham's criminal underworld sits Black Mask, Roman Sionis. First appearing in Batman 386, 1985, Sionis was born into wealth but abused by neglectful, status-obsessed parents, who forced him into a life of superficiality he despised. Inheriting his family's cosmetics empire after their suspicious death, he drove it into ruin and grew a burning resentment toward Bruce Wayne, the man whose fortune ultimately absorbed what was left of his own. Fascinated with masks as symbols of power and identity, Sionis carved one from his father's black coffin, beginning a descent into sadistic crime. After a violent confrontation with Batman left the mask fused to his face, he became Black Mask, a ruthless mob boss controlling the false facers, a legion of loyal, masked henchmen. Unlike many Gotham villains, Black Mask's terror is grounded not in superstition or hallucinogens, but in control, intimidation, and psychological manipulation. He wields fear through torture, assassination, and absolute authority over Gotham's criminal networks.